Hello and welcome back to a very special Lapdown podcast. And it's not because we're testing, and it's not because the cars are back on track. It's because it's the week where we pick our current preferred driver of the Lapdown podcast. And it is prone to changing, and this will be the third time it's changed since we brought this in. But there's a lot to go over. This is a very important episode because, I mean, that's legally binding for at least 20 minutes. And then we've got some paint to talk about. And then we're actually going to talk about how quickly the cars went. I'm going to talk about it. The other person that's going to talk about it as well is Dan. He's sat over there. He's going to talk now. Hello, Dan.
Hi, Alex. I'm excited for this. Oh, no, I'm good. I'm excited. I don't care about the fact that the cars have been on track, but to actually go through and discuss who is going to be there. I've got the acronym written down. It rings off. It'll get better. It'll become more fluent, I think, as episodes go by. But the PDOTLDP of 2026 is just an exciting thing to say out loud. And what makes this podcast better than every other Formula One podcast and every other new upcoming thing on TikTok is the fact that all of you can get involved. So you lot, all of you listening, you can turn around and say, no, Dan and Alex, that is a terrible suggestion for the PDOTLDP.
Pedotlepa.
Easy for you to say. But you can, and you can send us emails at lapdownradio.com/ I've got that completely wrong.
If you're going to plug the email, you've got to get the email right.
Can I pass that over to you to kind of pick that up? And it'll be a seamless, no one will notice.
Here we go. Try again.
No, I can't. What did I say?
All sorts of things. teamradio@lapdownpod.com is where you want to
That's
email
the
into.
one.
Or you can just go to the end of that. You can go to lapdownpod.com and there's a big Team Radio button at the top.
See, that's what I was trying to say.
And you just mix them all together.
It failed miserably. It made a delicious cake.
Performing like an Aston Martin at the minute. This is wonderful.
We're in for a good one.
Oh, yeah. Should we dive in with some of that Team Radio to kick us off? Because we have a couple of boopity boops on the Team Radio this week. We've got some words from the lap pad, which is exciting. We always like hearing from the lap pad, which actually crosses over a little bit into something we talked about the other week as well. So we might start with Rosie Collins at the lap pad. And we're going to hope this technology works because we're always upgrading here, right? New season, new regs, new setup. So here we go. Come on in over the Team Radio, Rosie Collins at the lap pad.
Rosie at the lap pad here, and I have 2 points. To answer Gal's question, it is an average of 1 helmet per race weekend. Via an interview with the CEO of Bell, they're contracted for 25 helmets for a 24 race season, and that's a minimum. So a driver could pay for more helmets if they decided to get crazy and wanted a replacement. The second point is who your preferred driver should be, and I don't even know why this is a question. It obviously should be Fernando Alonso. He's a TikTok star. He has the most enormous neck that anybody has ever seen. He's married to become a dad, possibly. He's got the most iconic radio crash outs you ever heard. And he's immortal, so he will be around forever, so you don't have to worry about picking a new one anytime soon. And even if he does leave, then you can pick a new one next year.
She raises a lot of valid points. We'll start with the helmet thing, because again, when we need information, if you're new to the podcast, Rosie, she's our Bernie Collins. She's away on the SkyPad, she's on the lap pad, she knows where to get the information, saves us doing our own Googling. So helmets won a race. They're single use, not officially single use, but it sounds like they're single use, which feels logical and wasteful all at once.
Yeah. Well, it's good to know. It's good to know, and I'm glad we put that towards our official thinking partner to provide us some form of response and information about it. And you just knew, much like Williams get with Claude, we knew that we were going to get with Rosie precise and accurate information. She even went back to an interview with the CEO of Bell Helmets to provide
references.
A fact check. It's brilliant. Brilliant. Our official thinking partner is better than yours. The other thing as well that's better than yours is now that we've incorporated this into our podcast, how long is it before the FIA equivalent of Formula One podcast bans us from using this because it's just better than what everybody else is doing?
It's certainly possible. I don't know how copyrighted the boopity boop is. We could be on all sorts of copyright strikes on that kind of business. Also, you can say fuck on our Team Radio, so it's fine.
Yeah, cool. No, great news about the helmet. It's good to know. Fernando Alonso, interesting nomination. Interesting nomination. I don't mind it. I don't think it was a driver that you or I had particularly discussed over the WhatsApp. Do we need an official messaging partner? Because WhatsApp are clearly in bed with Mercedes. Do we need to get back to like MSN Messenger or something like that?
Do you remember on MSN when you used to do the nudge that would make like their whole the big emoji would come up and like tap the screen?
Yeah, brilliant.
And the days of like going appear offline online because you wanted to like you wanted someone to notice you. Yeah. Fuck it. Yes, official messaging partner of the Lapdown Pod is MSN Messenger. Bring it back. It's
fantastic.
Done.
Unrelated, but kind of nostalgic. Did you ever throw a sheep at anybody on Facebook as well?
I've never thrown a sheep. No.
Have you not?
Not thrown a sheep. I've poked, haven't thrown a sheep.
Okay, fine. You've missed out. You have missed out. But no, Fernando Alonso, yay or nay? There was a few points there. I didn't really know that Fernando Alonso had TikTok. I'm not surprised by that because it feels like everybody who's anybody needs to have some form of social media presence or space. And I'm sure he comes up with a lot of the ideation and editing and content to put it behind it. And it's not just outsourced to somebody. But that's very important and I like it and it's good. The interesting thing for me, yes, we know radio blow-ups, fantastic. Yes, he's immortal unless he's not, because then we can swap him out at the end of the year. But there's no guarantee that your what did you call it? The Plodopter?
The Pedotlepler?
Yes. There's no guarantee that this Plodopter even makes it through to the first weekend of the Formula One season anyway.
Yeah.
So immortality doesn't carry much weight. But I'm interested about neck girth.
Yes. We hadn't pondered that as a metric before.
No. And I assume girth is the right way to describe a neck.
I think it's girth. Yeah. Girth feels right. Yeah.
What do you think about? What's your thoughts on? Well,
so what I will say,
girth generally, I suppose.
I'll go back a step. The Fernando Alonso TikTok thing. I believe, unless he's moved on, Aston Martin's. I don't know what his official title is, but he looks after a lot of their content, or certainly did. It was a young Aussie guy that was heading up a lot of their TikTok content, and he obviously had a wonderful sense of humor and was very finger on the pulse. And I think he obviously got on quite well with Fernando and basically would go up to Fernando and say, this is going really well on the internet. If you do this, it will break the internet. So when Fernando did the whole 0.5 times selfie thing where you stick it on your forehead, 100% that was this Aussie guy. Can't remember his name. That's bad for me. Rosie, what was his name? But that would have all come from him. So yes, I agree with you. It was obviously Fernando coming up with all of it himself. I feel like we've got to be careful on neck girth because we would never objectify on this podcast. We're not picking our Podotleper based on sexual attraction. This is not a spicy preference. As beautiful as some of these men are, we're not picking the preferred driver to shag of the Lapdown podcast. So the PDOTLDP.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and pronounce that one. So it's a factor, certainly, because I think if we get a skinny neck bitch, not interested, right? I want some thickness on there with the double C. But it's a low ranking metric for me. But I hadn't considered Fernando at all. I will say, though, does that count against him? Is he somehow being a little bit too off radar to be the preferred driver of the Lapdown podcast?
It's a good point. I mean, what does he do when he's not kind of blowing up or melting down over a team radio? Well, this is the thing. This is one of the key criteria of the Plodopter.
If we're listing metrics,
we need to know what the ins and outs of the Plodopter's habits and lifestyle and preferences are away from the circuit. Results, relatively speaking, irrelevant, not completely irrelevant, because poor performances can get you kicked from the Plodopter.
Unless they're funny poor performances. Let's make that abundantly clear. If you're shit but in a funny way, that's a positive metric. If you're just shit, negative metric.
I have an aura related point here that
that is a high metric, is aura.
For Fernando Alonso, we've established the fact he is a TikTok superstar, and I can confirm that he has 2.5 million followers on TikTok.
It's more than us.
With considerably just shy of 31 million likes. Now, TikTok's
slightly
weird.
More than us.
Yeah, TikTok's weird because it doesn't tell you the number of views; it just tells you the number of likes, and I don't really understand why it does that, but it does that anyway. The aura coming from this, and I don't know who these two people are, but he only follows two people.
Are we one of them?
On
Wait, is
TikTok.
it me and you?
I'd need to sign into TikTok to find out, but I take a punt that it isn't either of us.
Oh, fuck.
Nor is it the official kind of Lapdown podcast account, which you could also go and follow if you're listening to and
Yes.
enjoying.
Which is Dan?
At Lapdown Pod.
Yes, there we go. 1 from 2 for the day. That's all. You're like Williams. You turned up for one of the 2 tests.
Yeah, well, I was a bit fat before, so I'm in now. You wouldn't have thought this was a highly edited and highly invested, paid kind of gig, would you? Really?
It's also a podcast about Formula One, where 11 minutes in, we talked about neck girth and the 2 people that Fernando Alonso follows. Carry on.
No, that's about it, really. Yeah. He also says Premio Príncipe de Asturias on his TikTok.
Okay.
Which I've Googled it, and it just gives me more stuff in Spanish, because I assume it is something to do with Spanish, but I don't really know. I think it's an award. Oh, it is an award. Known as the Prince of Asturias Awards, are a series of annual prizes awarded in Spain by the Princess of Asturias Foundation to individuals, entities, or organizations from around the world who make notable achievements in sciences, humanities, and public affairs. Which part of Formula One is sciences, humanities, and public affairs?
Going to be my next question is, as much as we love him, which of those boxes is he ticking? And he might have a charity or something. He might do wonderful work that maybe that's what he's doing this time outside Formula One. I don't know. I have news for you. We are not the 2 people that Fernando Alonso follows. He follows Aston Martin F1 and Lance Stroll. So his FYP must be shithouse if it's just those 2. It's just Lance videos.
Post?
Here we go. We're going deep down the rabbit hole this week. His most recent video has 3.5 million likes. It was from the 30th of May last year. It's just him standing nearly motionless, looking at the camera like an absolute NPC. So 386,000 likes for that one.
Nice.
Lance Stroll, just so you all know, not in the running to be the PDOTLDP.
Not at the minute.
No. Could be. Not at the minute.
Not at the minute.
Should we go back to a second bit of Team Radio? You're going to kick us off on this one because it's your name's sake. Yeah. So here we go. More Team Radio. I like pressing that button.
That's so good. This is from Dan 2. Not Dan
Hello,
1,
Dan.
Dan 2. But I will embody Dan 2 because I am a fellow Dan, and together we become... But I think there's probably an event where all Dans get together and like the gravitational pull of the world sorts something
Dan
else.
band.
Anyway, nomination for the Pelodopter for driver number 2 is... And this, I'll read you the whole thing because why not? But I'll go as quick as I can. The Finns, and this will lead you somewhere, are a much understood breed of human. They enjoy coffee, alcohol, libraries, and rolling around in the snow after a sauna. But one man honours the roots of his birth while simultaneously celebrating the cultures of his adopted British colonial fan base. He's the bogan barista, the peddling pole sitter, the nude calendar neighbour of Norway, and I haven't even mentioned that glorious handlebar moustache. It is, of course, Valtteri Bottas. Now, I'm aware that one of your criteria for the Pelodopter is their taste in intimate partner. This is something that you're quite keen on, isn't it? And particularly the age of the intimate partner.
It's electric. First of all, let's be careful phrasing it like that. I'm looking up. Just to make that abundantly clear. I'm going upwards on that concern. Let's just box that off. But it's a metric. Yes, carry on.
So to address this for VB77, I implore you to look at the face of Tiffany Cromwell and come to any conclusion other than she could bang harder than an Interlagos Grand Prix weekend with changeable conditions. My case rests, Your Honours. There can be no other option than VB77.
It's, first of all, and we say this most weeks where we get an email from Dan. The man writes a wonderful email. He is a serious wordsmith of an email. And quite a lot of the time, we sort of hoard his lovely words to ourselves because they're slightly meta, so we sort of get to keep them. So I'm delighted that we've managed to get some out over the Team Radio airwaves. And look, it's a bloody strong application from Valtteri, isn't it? It is. There are a lot of metrics that he is both scoring highly in and also, I think, creating himself. There's a lot to be said for this. We didn't talk about it actually the other week on the podcast. Did you see he's got a YouTube channel now. I don't know if people know that because I don't think he pushes it as much as he should. He has a vlogging YouTube channel with a journo friend, someone. I'd never heard of the other bloke. Well, they just do things. It's just Valtteri in the wild. But they had an episode where they just went to a pub in Australia and he just shouted 100 beers behind the bar and then sat there, and then anyone that came up and got a beer could go and sit with him and drink said free beer. Now, all I'm going to say to you, and we have some other nominees for the PDOTLDP, that alone, the 100 beers alone already puts him a lap ahead of a lot of the field, I would say. That is hard to overcome, putting aside all of his other metrics. So, Dan 2, I think you are onto a winner there. Onto a winner. Thoughts? Dan 1?
I think he was always going to be odds-on favourite, wasn't he? And if anybody watching here is in any form of crypto gambling space and you fancy sponsoring the Lapdown podcast, please reach out and we can seamlessly incorporate some of these odds-on favourite quotes and cliches that you might like in the podcast. But yeah, do you know as well the other thing that's a big box tick? Do you remember at the end of the 2024 season, we spoke about the penalty that Valtteri Bottas received in Abu Dhabi for crashing into, I believe it was Kevin Magnussen or maybe Nico Hülkenberg. I can't remember which one of the two. And we said, no, that doesn't matter. That's not gonna come into the equation. Oh, it does. It does. I mean,
it sort of does. Because you can't go any further back on the grid than 22nd. So it's probably going to be at worst a one-place grid drop, if we're being honest, not the full 5. But there is a weird amount of aura, I think, with coming back, new team, new boss. Oh, by the way, lads, like 2.5 years ago, I fucked it. So I actually have a penalty this weekend. Yeah, look, I'm gonna pitch it to you this way. You had another shortlist that we briefly discussed beforehand. I'll get you to fire through those, because from where I stand, Valtteri's going to take some toppling. Valtteri was on our shortlist as well. We should make that known. Do you want to run us through our other shortlisters, and we'll almost quick fire them? Are they knocking off Valtteri? Can they topple Valtteri? Can he be Valtoppletree?
Could be. Don't know. Unlikely. We'll start with the incumbent.
Yes.
So just about Gabriel Bortoleto was because we're recruiting a new one now.
Yes. He could win it again, but as it stands today, we don't have a PDOTLDP. It's a vacant seat.
Precisely. So, thoughts. Why did he even get Plodopita in the first place? I genuinely, I can't remember. I know I campaigned quite hard for this, but I can't figure out as to why I did.
There was some pit lane business with a lady that really shot him forward. He pulled forward on that metric predominantly, and I think we don't like to bring on-track performance into it. It's a little bit like fines when you play recreational sport. You shouldn't really be fined for actual sporting performance. That's not in the spirit of the game. But also, he was sort of doing quite well with the shitbox. So I think he won some points there. I will also say, I don't think that Gabriel has lost his title so much as his contract has expired, if that makes sense. I don't think he's necessarily done anything wrong, but we must always be evaluating available options, and it might just be, it's like a phone contract. Perhaps someone's going to offer us a better price for the next period. And I don't think he's done enough to impress me or to topple Valtteri. So I think I'm happy to scratch him on this round of review.
Yep, fine by me. Franco Colapinto.
Now,
once upon a time, the Plodopita.
And a big time PDOTLDP. And he brought a lot of friends to this podcast. And hello, if you are still listening, now that we have kind of moved on from our brief Franco phase.
They're not listening.
I think there's one lovely gentleman that I don't know if he has his name on YouTube, but he leaves us lovely comments occasionally. So if that's you, leave us a lovely comment again so we know that you're still here. I've not seen anything from Franco really. Which is probably good for his career. I think he's sort of put his head down and is focusing on trying to drive the car quite quickly. Does not help you when it comes to being a PDOTLDP. So I think again, scratched. Gornsky.
He will feature later on in the podcast as well. So yes. he's not completely off the radar.
No.
And finally, Liam Lawson. Does VCARB's social media admin do enough heavy lifting for Liam Lawson to be considered a Plodopter?
No, because although he's a willing participant, and he does do well to be a willing participant, that's not his led socials. So Valtteri's YouTube and his vlogging is quite Valtteri led. It's not someone behind the camera making him do things and making him the star, as where Liam is being wonderfully used as a plaything by the admin team at VCarb. And he does a wonderful job for them, but it's good. It's great content. He's not doing enough for me.
Okay.
And then I have one last wild card that again.
Could I just finish off on the Lawson?
Yes, certainly, mate.
Thank you very much. All I'd say about Liam Lawson, and I'd like to put it to the jury, that he just kind of goes in there at like our reserve Plodopter. So
Yes.
kind of not
Reserve and
the
testing Plodopter.
Plodopter, but in case there's a big crash and Valtteri Bottas gets injured, which we obviously hope that isn't the case, but like Daniel Ricciardo at Zandvoort when he broke his hand and then Liam Lawson came in to drive, we need a reserve Plodopter. So I'm going to suggest that Liam Lawson is the reserve Plodopter. Now, the VCarb content is doing the heavy lifting here. And I feel my logic here is the fact that because each and every episode of it he gets slightly more annoyed.
Yes.
And it gets slightly more awkward with each and every interaction that happens. That to me feels like it's kind of the changing of power from the unwilling participant or the willing participant to a relatively unwilling participant to the point that actually the content becomes hilarious. I'm thinking about the Imola sketch or whatever was going on that one.
There was a post where they did a video where the admin like pitched an idea that they'd already done like a year ago back to them. And I will say, in fairness, in that, I'm pretty sure Liam Lawson says, we've already done this. It was my idea. So perhaps I'm not giving him enough credit. There was a wonderful one recently where they put like a giant forehead filter on and got him to do like a selfie video for the fans. Great stuff. Yeah, I'm happy with a reserve and testing driver. I'm happy with that from Liam. I think also, because it's not an easy acronym to say, I think you are getting closer to naming a dinosaur than saying PDOTLDP, because you're putting an L at the beginning from somewhere. So it's preferred legendary drive. You're kind of throwing an extra word in there. I'm happy for you just to continue dinosauring. It's good enough for me. I'm going to throw one more wild card in, and perhaps he can go and do Formula E for us or something, even though he's still an F1 driver. We can be like McLaren and have two teams, except McLaren pulled out, I think. I think Alex Albon's a dark horse as a human. Every time I hear him do something not rigid team media work, I would very much like to go and have dinner with Alex Albon. He just seems like he's a good bit of company. He did a bit of Ted's Notebook in testing where he was very casual in letting he didn't let his media training slip as such, but he went into a very casual conversation mode with Ted because they were just walking through the paddock, and it was great. And I don't think I've ever seen anything from Alex Albon I haven't liked. Again, I don't think he's doing enough to pull ahead of the other two. He's very much sort of a passive generator, but he's always going to be there or thereabouts for me. And also wee-ums. We like wee-ums.
Yeah, I think it's always nice to talk about them in the podcast, regardless of what's going on. And I think he's an honourable mention. I do think he's an honourable mention. I think he's a safe mention. I think we're going to require a lot of the kind of exuberant and fancy drivers to fall out of Formula One before Alex Albon really gets up towards the top step of the podium here. But he does a lot of the right things, doesn't he?
Yes,
he does a lot of the right things. The novelty helmets are good.
Very good. That's a metric.
Yeah, it is good. He did that quadrant video where he tried to overtake 100 children, and that was interesting. So yeah, and look, Thai. Don't get many Thai Formula One drivers, do you?
This is true. This is
Another
true.
metric.
I think we're agreed, though, aren't we? I think we're agreed that as of today, we have a new preferred driver, a PDOTLDP, and that PDOTLDP is, and I'll let you announce him, Daniel, because I think we're agreed on this. It was always going to be
Valtteri Bottas. Brilliant. What a great 25 minutes of podcasting there to essentially get to the answer that I would imagine most of our listeners probably knew was always going to be the answer anyway. I do have a follow-up question, though, just before we kind of move on from PDOTLDP or whatever the hell we're going to decide to call it. I mentioned Alex Albon racing under the Thai flag.
yes.
which country in the world would need to suddenly announce a Formula One driver for that to carry enough weight for it to become a conversation to debunk or dethrone Valtteri Bottas from the top step of the podium?
Vatican City.
I don't know.
I want a fucking speedy Pope-mobile. I want 350 kph Pope-mobile. Because the bloke's young now, isn't he? And he's into sports and he likes baseball and stuff. We'll throw him in an F1 car. Pope Leo, if Pope Leo ever drives a Formula One car, I'm overruling everything and he will become the new, technically at that point, Populpa, because it's the preferred Pope of the Lapdown podcast at that point. So, it's got to be that's it. It has to be.
Okay, fine. And plus, I mean, we're getting closer to an F1 celebrity race because we had one in Formula E the other day. So
yes,
my unusual, crazy thought process that could happen in the 2026 season doesn't feel like that big of a pie in the sky type moment at the moment. No. And maybe the Pope's going to be driving the Ferrari.
Get him in. It would make it. It would all align. It would all align. Hey, we are 27 and a bit minutes into this Formula One podcast. Should we talk about Formula One cars for a bit? Because they've done things.
If you want.
Yeah, go on. We'll talk about the paint of them, though, first, because that's the most exciting bit. We've seen them all now on track. And I don't know about you, but almost all of this year's F1 cars look better on track than they did in the team's marketing pictures and launches and stuff. I don't know what the teams are doing with them, but they are not presenting them to the best of their ability when they show them off. Because I don't think I can name any team that I didn't see their car from 3 days of testing and went, actually, that livery looks a lot better there than the jazzy marketing pictures I saw of it.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how they've got that so wrong, to be honest with you. Maybe there is some truth in the fact when it comes to photography that natural light is just better than whatever kind of studio light you can put together. But yeah, now that they're outside in the desert sunshine, everything does look better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But maybe not better compared to last year.
What a segue. That is the segue of the season from you already.
I tell you what, this is why I get paid the big bucks, isn't it?
Yep.
The Formula One, the official Formula One Instagram page, don't follow that one because I'm sure you already are. Follow the Lapdown podcast. Have basically put a top and bottom version of all of the Formula One cars, with the exception of obviously the Cadillac because they didn't exist last year, to decide as to whether the 25 or the 26 thing was, well, not better or worse. They just put side on, didn't they, and said here's the comparison. But we are going to go whether it's better or worse. So think about your favorite optometrist. Think about the last time you went to have those big, silly plastic glasses put on your face and different lenses put in, and you went, and people used to go better or worse.
Welcome to F1 Better or Worse 2026 Livery Edition. Are we ready? We're going to go 3, 2, 1 and say our thoughts at the same time, aren't we? So we don't influence each other on these. And we're going to do them in the order that they appeared on the F1 Instagram, which means we are starting with Haas. Dan, 3, 2, 1, better. Yeah, it just is. It just is. The GR's great. There's more white on it. No notes. Absolutely no notes.
It looks more like a racing car, doesn't it?
It does. Yes.
Yeah.
And it looks quicker. That looks quicker than last year's car did.
Yeah, it does.
Steak, Audi, Sauber, all of these sort of things. 3, 2, 1, better. Yeah, the green was shit. It's not even that this year's better. I think last year's was just so bad, I think, for me.
It's a low bar, isn't it?
Yes.
It's a low bar. I mean, well, tripped over it potentially. Maybe even that little of effort to go through it. But yeah, definitely better.
Yeah. Red Bull. 3, 2, 1, better.
Worse.
Oh, okay. Daniel, explain yourself.
Here we go. Now that I've seen it out on the motor circuit, I miss the matte version.
Interesting. You are going to piss some people off when I put this on the internet, son. I'll tell you that right now.
Good. When this Red Bull thing was launched, it gave us all of this lovely little kind of different shades of blue and this little kind of camo kind of design, and everyone, including myself, went, it's amazing, incredible, beautiful. This is what we've needed for so long. But I just don't think it looks as good as the matte one that we had last year.
Do you know how smug I feel? Because if you listen back a couple of episodes when they announced these liveries, and I sat here and I went, I don't know why. I'm not as obsessed with it as everyone else is. And you sat there going, no, it's beautiful. Look at it. It's got white bits around the outside. It's a different blue. Everyone got excited because it's different. I said it at the time. I'm saying it now. We just wanted to see something different. We were excited that it was anything. And then we shagged it. And then we woke up the next morning. We actually missed our ex-girlfriend. So, look,
It sounds quite close to the mark, that, doesn't it?
I still think it's better because I like the white around the bull itself and the Red Bull. Apart from that, it's still very similar. They didn't do that much with it. So I'm giving it slight points on that. But no, I take your opinion very much on board. Actually, very much.
Yeah.
Williams.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
Better?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Okay,
Maybe.
we've kind of done the same thing there because you don't sound particularly convinced by it. I was looking at it, and right up until I opened my mouth, I wasn't sure what I was going to say there.
No.
I think
you still haven't answered, to be fair.
better.
We're still waiting.
I'm going to say
Okay.
better. So far, I think I'm 4 from 4 on betters. I think there's a little bit more going on, albeit because of sponsors, but there's a little bit more design. Last year's in the picture that I'm looking at was kind of actually just flat blue everywhere. And this one has a little bit more sort of a template-y thing going on. And I said last week it looks better on track than it did in their renders, but it's still not my favourite livery.
No, it's a 51.49 job, I think.
Yeah.
It may be slightly closer to 52.48. There isn't a great deal in it. There's still something about the new one that I just don't like, and I can't quite articulate or have figured out what it is that I don't particularly like about it. But there's something about it. By the time we get around to Azerbaijan or maybe Spa or Imola or no, that Imola's dead now, isn't it? Monza or something like that, then maybe between the two of us, we might be able to articulate whatever the reason is for the fact that we don't like this new, or there's just something about it. But I don't, it's beginning to annoy me.
Yeah, fair. No, that's fair. V-carb. 3, 2, 1. Worse.
Better. Oh, we've got
disagreement.
We've reversed the roles because again, if we cycled it back, you were sat there giving it the big uns in your little Australian accent, telling me how much better it was because it was a bit more white or something. But it turns out it's not any more white. It might be less white than what we had last year. So why is it worse?
It's the logo gradient. That was really cool. The fade of the little bulls. I could have if you'd have taken, I prefer the overall shapes of the new one, but I would like to bring back the little fadey bulls from the old one in that new shape. Just put them on it and I'm happy. And then it's we're getting close to a perfect V-carb livery at that point. But the gradienty thing was very clever, and I'm disappointed they've thrown that out. Is why that's gone backwards for me.
Fine by me. I like the white wheels.
Yes, the deep white inside as well. I think are they the only ones that have gone like a filled in solid white wheel?
I think so, yeah. I mean, it's doing a lot of heavy lifting for me. But look, you can't take it away. They're there. They're on it. And it's an integral part of the livery. So therefore, I think better.
Aston Martin, 3, 2, 1. Better.
Worse.
Oh, see, I messaged you during the week and I said, I don't think the livery they ran in Barcelona was the one that they announced. It looked very different to what I remember. And I'm looking at it now in the picture and it's a lot more green and it's got some like sort of hexagony, honeycomby patterny thing that I don't remember seeing in the pictures. And I feel like it's got more of the yellow stripe that I don't remember seeing in the pictures. So I can only assume that their livery designer saw our review episode, went, shit, and put more on. But I don't hate it. It's also, I know we've said this before, God, it's a different shape to all the rest of them. Like, there's some newy bullshit going on there, isn't there? Even in this side-on picture, it looks like it's got muscles in different places compared to other people.
I was just about to say, why does the 2025 car look more like a 2026 car than the 2026 car looks like a 2026 car?
100%.
I don't know what this 2026 car looks like. It looks like the driver's too far forward, if that makes any sense. There's a lot of real estate going on in the trunk of this Aston Martin.
It's because it's got walls around his little cockpit. You can't actually see the driver's head from side on because he's behind a little wall. God forbid down into turn one, Lance Stroll is side by side with someone because he's not going to have a clue that they're there. But yeah, they've got a lot more side wall above the side pod compared to any other driver. Yeah.
Look, I don't think there's much in it. Let's be completely honest about it. But yeah, better, worse, who cares?
Ferrari, 3, 2, 1, pass.
Better. Oh, pass.
I've opted to pass. I mean, they're both shit. I can't compliment either of them. Now that I'm seeing them.
I know that you want to go and wind people up on the internet here, and the last time we commented about the Ferrari livery, it did quite well, didn't it?
Still going, by the way. We still get 3 or 4 abusive comments a day.
So, would you like to share your thoughts and what you've read on the internet with regards to this Ferrari as to why it's no better or no worse than what we've had in previous years?
Would you like me to put my social media commenter voice on?
Do you know, I would actually. I haven't heard it this episode, so please do.
When Michael Schumacher was wearing that with Marlboro, you liked it with Marlboro. Oh, it's a Niki Lauda tribute livery, so actually it's really good. Oh, they've always had white on them. Oh, shut up. You don't know what you're talking about.
There you go. That's what the comments sounded like. And then
Nice.
all the intelligent comments went 100% agree. So they were the smart people. I still don't like it. The red is better. I will say that. The hex code, it's a better cherry red hex code. Last year's was far, far too dark. Although the picture, it looks weirdly cloudy, the previous pictures. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it feels like that might have been like a night test or something, doesn't it?
Not giving it, doing it a massive favor. Yeah. It's just they've not built the white in. The white is only there for all the bullshit that people are putting in my comments about. It's a Niki Lauda throwback thing. No, it's not. It's an HP bend over and take whatever they want to give you livery. It's not a Niki Lauda tribute livery. It's not a Marlboro livery. It's not any of them. You're trying to justify the fact that they're just appeasing HP. Is all that is. So. But it's a nicer red. So if you're going to make me unpass, I'll pick this year over last year purely because at least the red bit's a better red.
No, you don't have to unpass. You can carry on. They're kind of right with the Michael Schumacher Ferraris, kind of. But I don't necessarily think it was quite so obvious that they were just having their kind of trousers pulled down and just having whatever USB dongles inserted into whatever kind of orifice that they have at the minute. It's definitely a better red. The whole Niki Lauda situation, the people commenting on it are so close to being right, but just completely ignoring the fact that all they had to do was put the tiny little green stripe on it. If they'd have put a green stripe on this car, as we've spoken about before, they would have had a free pass to have put as much white on the top of that car as they possibly wanted to, made all of their sponsors stand out as big and bright as they particularly wanted to themselves as well, and everybody, including myself and you, would have sat there and gone, yeah, I can see what you've done there. It's a throwback to the 70s and what Niki Lauda and Gilles Villeneuve drove, and that's kind of nice because we like a bit of nostalgia because we're all getting a bit older, and that kind of makes us feel warm and fuzzy and safe about life. But they didn't put the bloody green stripe on it, so therefore it's not a Niki Lauda throwback. This, as you say, is HP inserting their HP dongle up whatever orifices of the Ferrari Maranello garage that they particularly want to, and that's what this is. This is not a throwback to a Niki Lauda livery because there isn't a bloody green stripe on it, and there just could be.
There could be, and there isn't. So, yeah. Hey ho. McLaren.
Nice.
3, 2, 1. Better.
Worse? I don't care.
It's more orange. There's
It's
more
the
papaya
same.
on it, but it is the same. Yes, but there is at least more papaya, so I'll take that.
Yeah, all right
I'll
then.
take that. But it's the same. It's safe. It's boring.
Yeah,
I
nice.
would like a lot more. Mercedes. 3, 2, 1. Better.
Worse.
Oh, that's a flip around.
Tell me about it. I'm not saying
that's a flip around.
I'm not saying it's bad.
No, fair.
I'm saying it's worse than 25.
Yeah, I mean, the 25 car was also very pretty, to be fair. And again, I turns out I've just got a thing for gradient patterns because the Mercedes logos on the back of that look really nice. And they are still kind of there on the new one, but they're just sort of muted and taken over by Microsoft. I just like the side poddy sort of Adidas. It's not Adidas kind of bang, 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 bang thing.
Yeah. It's like the tracksuit bottoms that you pick up from the market, isn't it? The four stripe. The classic four stripe.
The Adidas, like those ones. Yeah.
Precisely, yeah. You've just come back from your holiday or wherever, and you've got a suitcase full of designer items.
Yeah,
is essentially what we've got going on here. Look, they both look good. I think it's similar to you with the racing balls and the gradient pattern at the back end of it. They just look a little bit more striking. The kind of the 3-pronged stars on the back of the 25. But I do enjoy the slopey kind of flowing gradient and things across the course of that side pod. So
yeah,
they're both good, but I think 25 just looks a little bit brighter. But it might also be the photographer.
Yeah, 100%. And then I don't even know if it's really worth talking about this, but Alpine 3-2-1, it's exactly the fucking same. So moving on.
If Alpine decided to write an email at the start of the year and say we're not racing, I wouldn't be upset.
Yeah. It's, yes, 100%. 100%.
Yep.
We've seen them driving now. So we've actually got some performance-y stuff to talk about, but none of the performance-y stuff matters because we don't know who's got bags of sand in the car and we don't know who's actually driving the car properly. We know that most of them seem to hate him. Max has been very vocal about how much he hates them. I think, again, I'll cop some heat for this. I think Max is being a slightly whiny little bitch about it. I liked Lando Norris's comments, which Lando Norris copped a load of heat for, where he came out being like, he can retire if he wants. Like, we get paid a lot of money to drive the car, work it out. Like, I'm sure we'd all like to really enjoy driving the car, but, you know. And has he gone a bit strong with it? Like, you've driven the car for, you know, a day and a half and you're doing multiple headline quotes about this is the worst thing in the world ever. It's Formula E and all this and the other. It's like, oh, okay. Like, we get it. It's different, mate. Like, just drive the car. Put the car in the track, bro. You know, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. And get paid an absolute wedge for it.
Disgusting amount.
Do you think it's part of the reason, like you and I, we're both amateur athletes, and I'm sure a lot of people listening to this will have dabbled in some form of sport, whether it be motorized or self-propelled over the course of their childhoods and things. Is that part of the reason as to why we never made it? Because you and I have both sat here and gone, we still get paid a lot. And actually, like, if I was pottering around in a Formula One car in 13th, just completely out of danger, never likely to get a podium, kind of occasionally flirting with 2 points every now and again, but never finishing far enough down the grid for people to kind of throw any kind of heat on me. But knowing that each month another £5 million would be deposited into my bank account, I think I'd be quite happy about life there. But maybe that's because we're not actual winners. I like winning, but am I a Max Verstappen winner?
No. I'll answer that for you. No, it's a very valid point, and it's obviously very easy to sit here without all of that money and say I'd quite happily just take the money and retire on the first lap as far as long as I'm not on a per lap pro rata thing. Look, isn't it a good thing that the new F1 cars are really hard to drive? I don't know if I'm wide of the general consensus there, but I don't want these cars to look like they're on rails and that the drivers, I know it's bloody difficult. I'm not suggesting that they are at all actually easy to drive, but is it not good that the drivers have to actually be perfect doing something incredibly hard over 70 laps and win from that? And a mistake might cost you a position and it might be a really small error, but you still made that error. If the driver behind you didn't, then well done to that driver. A lot of the drivers are talking about how they're hard to drive. And I kind of look at that and thinking, well, yeah, that's literally the point. Otherwise, there would be a load of other people in the world that could do this. You're the ones that are supposed to be able to do it.
Including the chef of Aston Martin, apparently.
Including the chef of Aston Martin, apparently.
I think you're barking up a tree in the right forest. I think you're in the right. I think you're in the correct wooded area, and the reason why I say that is because I feel like over the last couple of years, because the cars have been so hard to get near to and then overtake and provide any form of racing, we've all been slightly tarnished by the lack of on-track battling that we were hoping for or promised. Or, I mean, 2025 was one of the biggest cock tease seasons of all time, wasn't it? Going into it, oh, we're going to have 19 drivers that can all win the Grand Prix, and it just never materialised, and we ended up with a big papaya and an occasional dabble of Red Bull involved. If you can have a car that's really good to drive, if 22 cars are really good to drive, but they all have that kind of, like head to tail, and we've got DRS and the front wings flipped open and we go 3 wide into lap 16, turn 3 or something, I think that's the perfect combination. But the likelihood of us ever having that element of competitiveness, even going in with these new regulations that have all been designed to make the racing on track better, I've watched enough Formula One now across different eras to know that it's very unlikely that we're going to just see cars just kind of overtaking left, right, and center, and big DRS trains and sweeping up the inside, and like TIE fighter style battles. That I think we cling on to it would be nice, wouldn't it, if there was just a little bit of unpredictable oversteer in this car, so that that 2-second gap turned into a 4/10 gap, and then there was a chance going into the next braking zone. And I think that's probably what we're clinging on to. We've enjoyed our motorsport over the last couple of years because of unpredictability, not because of how good they are and how kind of fun they are to watch race.
Yeah, no, I think it's a bizarrely intelligent and on point discussion for this podcast, as far as our chats usually go. No, I think it's a very bang on point, actually, that if the racing was consistently wheel to wheel overtakes and battles and stuff, I wouldn't really pay attention to how easy or how hard they drive. I'm probably hoping, in the same way we all hope for a drying track or a wettening track this year, that it's a charging or a discharging instead of weather. I've never been one to really care about how fast they're going, because I can't get any sense of that really on the telly anyway. They might as well be doing 80 kilometers an hour or 280. Doesn't make any difference with how zoomed in the cameras are. So I don't panic when Fernando Alonso says we're 50 kilometers an hour slower through that corner. That if the racing's good, go whatever speed you want. I don't love the idea that we're lifting off down straights in order to charge batteries up. That's when it's possibly gone slightly into the ridiculous. Like they maybe should have measured their longer straight and then put 10% on and made sure the car could at least do that. And whether or not, I think there might be some software battery limitations being put in, that it might be possible that they can actually go, oh yeah, fine, we've just turned that dial a little bit for you and you can actually make it to the end of the straight in Bahrain now. But
because Vegas and Azerbaijan are going to be shit, aren't they? If you have to go
Monza, you're
lift
absolutely
off
fucked
3 times down the straight just to charge your battery up so you can keep going.
Yeah, there's a lot of chat that Ferrari have nailed these roads, because they've been doing like over the last couple of years anyway, so they are so tuned in with it. I saw a comment that, is it possible that F1 has taken too big a swing on these in an attempt to do something? Have they brought too many things in at once? And that's sort of leaving us where we are. But I say that knowing that we are still 2.5 weeks away from Melbourne. We haven't actually seen a competitive session yet. We don't know a fucking bean. So it might be incredible. We just don't know yet, I guess. Yeah. But we do know the race starts are going to be an absolute shambles by the looks of things.
Yeah, we've spoken probably about 10 minutes here on track wheel to wheel battling and traveling 30 mile an hour slower around a corner. But from what we've seen so far, there's no guarantee that the cars are even going to get moving in the first place. So this could be a challenge. And now I've tried to listen and understand as to the reasons as to why these things are quite difficult to actually get going. And essentially what I've figured out is because it comes down to the number of revs required to spool up, which I think is the correct word, the turbo, to make the thing in the turbo go round, which then means when you press go, you actually go. And when you, instead of, if you don't have that in the turbo, you press go and nothing happens.
Yeah.
And at the minute, we see a lot of press go and nothing happens, which is hilariously funny. And I mean, a lot of people, again, this is another one of these classics where the drivers are just whining a bit.
Yeah.
It's a new regulation. Go and figure it out. Do what you need to do to go and figure it out. Use more of your media days to do 100 start line starts to make this out. Don't fail it once and go, oh, well, it might be dangerous because there might be some cars parked. Figure it out. Figure out, because again, you're meant to be the best 22 drivers in the world to go and do this.
Yeah.
And you just, essentially, from what I can work out, it's like driving a manual car, isn't it? You need to find the bite point with the clutch before the car goes forward. If you don't, the car's going to stall.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Oscar Piastri said it was like being back in F2 and sort of worrying about anti-stall on the start. But then, and I will concede, I haven't actually fully researched into this, which is not a shock for people that have listened to this podcast before. McLaren are now fighting to want to have a meeting with the FIA to change this starting procedure because they're worried about it from a safety perspective. And I believe...
They've got hazard lights now.
Yeah, so I've got some indicators on the side. That'll help when Hamilton spins it in broad daylight. Thank God he had the lights on. But I believe Ferrari, like a year ago, put their hand up and went, has anyone had a look at the starts, by the way? Because we've sort of done some testing and they don't seem great to us. Anyone? And everyone went, Ferrari can't do the starts. Fuck 'em. And now no one can do the starts except Ferrari, who have worked out how to do the starts. 'Cause I think they tweaked something in their turbo to accommodate for that. Now Ferrari well, looks like you can't do the starts, lads. Yeah. So there's a bit of that involved. The name Billy Munger is coming to my mind, but I don't know if it was actually him that this happened to or not. This might have been someone else. But there was a feeder series driver that had their legs basically destroyed because I don't think someone got away at the start. They didn't see them. They went into the back of them. I know the name Billy Munger, but I might just be picking that out because he's a racing driver I know who's had a really bad lower body accident. But that has happened, hasn't it?
Yeah. I don't think Billy Munger was off the start. I don't think.
He just went into the back of someone hard, didn't he?
Off the start, you're going back to, I think, and I tell you what, if I get this right,
here we go.
Everybody needs to follow this. I've got a feeling it might be like Alex Zanardi.
There was someone, wasn't there, in who's
now like a gold medal Paralympian type athlete, and I have a feeling he might have been the guy in the start. But yeah, there's definitely a problem.
Because that's what we don't want. We're not fussed necessarily about Oscar Piastri losing 15 places on the start because he doesn't get away off the line. That's a skill issue. Fine, sweet, you fucked up your start. Guess what? You get penalised for that in a sporting sense. What we don't want to see is us losing one of the 22 best drivers in the world because they went into the back of a parked car that didn't get off the start, and it was entirely not your fault. You were trying to go forward. There was a car in front of you. You can't see or react in that time. So that's the only safety concern with it. A little bit like when we talk about going racing in the wet. Okay, we love all the excitement of it. It still needs to be safe. We need 22 drivers to come home at the end of it in one piece. If Ferrari did raise this exact point, however, and have now designed and modified their engine to overcome it, then it's a little bit like the Mercedes compression thing. They've raised the point. Everyone else went, no. Well, you can't penalise them now, essentially, because they've changed their engine in order to work around it. That wouldn't be cool either. But, I mean, Franco Colapinto can't even get into his fucking grid box at the minute in these cars. He nearly put that into the wall just trundling up to the grid because he put his foot in the loud pedal and went backwards.
Bless him. But he does drink mate from a metal straw.
He does.
I know we're getting close to the end of this.
Yes.
I know we've got one last thing to talk about, which is from Sky Sports, which I'll kind of hand over to you two here.
Yeah.
But the whole Ferrari situation is fascinating, and I'm not gonna kind of steal your fireworks here. But last year, every journo, every expert, every podcastist, probably including ourselves, I can't really remember, but kind of were quite heavy in slating Ferrari about their on-track 2025 performances, saying that they weren't up to scratch. And there never seemed to be anything along the lines of Ferrari just turning around and saying, well, actually, we've started work on 2026. Now that 2026 has come around, I'm starting to hear and read more and more from all of our kind of experts and media outlets telling everybody now, after they've slated them and slagged them off through the course of 2025, that actually, well, they've been working on the 2026 car since May last year. Now, why was that never reported Or is it just because it didn't sell enough headlines or get enough clicks at that particular time?
I think it's because, and this is me putting my sports media and PR hat back on, Williams are an underdog brand, so they can afford to play quite heavily the underdog card. And part of that card is, I don't care about 23. I don't care about 24. I don't care about 25. I care about 26. Ferrari can't play that card. That is not a card that is available to them in their deck because of the nature of who they are as a brand. You can't have arguably the F1 team say, no, we're not trying this year. Even if they're not trying, you can't have your best boy say, I'm not bothering this year. See you next year, because that does damage to F1 as a brand. That does damage to Ferrari as a brand. That does all sorts of damage, rather than just everyone else is a little bit quicker than we are. We haven't quite worked it out. That's fine. It's a competition. Other people are allowed to be better. You've not given up. Not that it's giving up, but you've not outwardly given up. So Williams can get away with that. Your lower teams can absolutely get away with that. I don't think a Premier team can. McLaren kind of could, because they could phrase it in a different way. McLaren could go, we feel so good about this year's car. We've actually taken development time off it now because we think we're as good as we can be, and we're proving that because we're winning everything. We're looking at next year now. They can frame that positively. Ferrari, when they were in P3, P4, whatever, can't do that. So I believe it, that they did stop development, and it probably puts into perspective some of their performances and why the car didn't improve from some fundamental issues. But I just don't think they didn't have that car wasn't available to them to pay. I don't think of saying, "No, we've scrapped this season." Ferrari can't ever scrap a season. I don't think that's a blessing and a curse of being Ferrari. I think they're stuck with being red and white without a green stripe.
Yeah, that bastard green stripe.
The bastard green stripe. Sky Sports at the end of testing did a roundup of what they'd heard. So this was not Ted Kravitz's opinion on what they were up to. This was Ted Kravitz reporting what they had been told from various sources from teams in the paddock about the pecking order on the end of testing. Testing doesn't matter. No one knows who's doing what. No one knows fuel loads and sandbagging and whatever. They take their best guess. The order coming out of that is Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren as your top four. I won't go all the way down the list because your midfield teams, to say it doesn't matter is harsh, but it matters a lot less. They're going to move around a lot more. But out of the big four, Ferrari have kind of come storming through. They brought an upgrade, I think, on day 2 of the testing, maybe, or certainly a big change from what we saw in Barcelona. So, but they're looking really good on race pace, apparently. And Lewis Hamilton was looking better than Charles Leclerc on his race pace, which is not something that we've been able to see for a long time. Would you be happy with that ordering? If that is true, and we get into Melbourne, and that's the order that the race finishes, are we a happy boy with that?
Yeah, I think so. A little bit of a reshuffle is nice. So that's a positive. I'm not massively into the conspiracy theorists, but if Ferrari were to build the car around one of their 2 drivers, PR-wise, it would make so much sense that it's the bloke that's going to go for an 8th world title. And, we've just delivered a car to Lewis Hamilton, who's now broken the record of our previous most decorated Formula One driver in our own car. And that does make a lot of sense. So if there is any kind of tinfoil hat agenda going on there, that makes a lot of sense. Slightly disappointed that in that top 4, we haven't seen a Williams or an Aston kind of sneak in with the newie, with the we don't care about all the years preceding 2026. That's a little bit of a shame. And looking at it, they're not actually close to that top 4
Aston
either,
in this list is 10th out of 11. They're only better than the team that's never built an F1 car before. Williams, so it's VCAR, Pass and Williams are the next ones. 7th. The next one's up. So there was good signs, at least, for the Williams. Apparently, they were overweight, but they know how to become underweight. Apparently, Audi are overweight and don't know how to become underweight or at weight.
Williams, have they signed up with an official weight loss partner?
Is
entirely
it Ozempic?
Possible? Have they started putting Ozempic in the car? Is it
could well
Manjaro?
Be. Could well be. The V-carb is an interesting one. I feel like I didn't hear a lot about V-carb through testing. They seem to just sort of quietly tick along and do what they did.
But that's because they're not a real team.
Well, they're trying. They're trying their best. But it's interesting. Anyway, and then there's a lot of chat, obviously. Every team is telling you that every other team is the quickest team. So McLaren and Mercedes, funnily enough, using Mercedes engines, are saying that Red Bull are quickest, and Red Bull are saying that Mercedes are quickest. No one's really saying that Ferrari's quickest publicly. Like, no one's coming out and saying, Ferrari are leading it. But it's sandbags everywhere, isn't it? So Lord knows. Lord knows. We've got some more testing soon, and then we're only like 2 and a bit weeks away from some racing.
I tell you what. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. And we've had 61 and a half minutes of time now in this podcast. No, slightly less, actually, because I think we waffled at the start for a while. But we're getting on for around a nice hour. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully, Alex, you've enjoyed our chat.
Always.
It's been good. We've got a brand new no, hang on, not a pl.
Here we go. Not a dinosaur.
Pedopita.
Pedopita.
See, it's not that easy. You've sat there and you've taken the piss for the last 60 minutes and you fucked it up on the final occasion to get it right.
We've got a Pedota.
Again, not buying it. But it's Valtteri Bottas.
It's Valtteri Bottas. That's the important thing. If you think we got that wrong, teamradio@lapdownpod.com or lapdownpod, any of our comments on there. If you want to go and see Dan do cricket-related things, you can go and do that at
DanJads Cricket Club on YouTube and DanJads _ on the other social media platforms that might be available to you on your fingertips on your smart device.
There you go. And if you want to watch me play games on the internet, twitch.tv/hey look it's Alex. If you've made it this far, you've obviously enjoyed it. So make sure you hit like or go and review the podcast or share it with someone. You should already be following us on various things, but make sure you do that. We will be back at some point soon. Outside of the season, we'll be with you in a vaguely weekly, 2-weekly kind of little cadence. And then once we get into the season, we'll be a little bit more reliable and regular around that. But thank you for listening, and we will see you all next time. Toodle pip.
See ya.